Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we're talking about fanfiction called I'm Still Here. Details about this fanfiction will be in the description below. Treasure Planet, first off, I feel like it's like underrated. Like I love Treasure Planet so much. I feel like it didn't get the attention it deserved because it's so good to me. And so I'm Still Here, like the song, oh my god. That I literally still listen to. That's on my playlist. I do not care. But for me, when did I first see this? I saw this when I was like 12, maybe. Oh my god, such a long time ago. But for me, it was Jim, right? Him, like Max Goof, and like old crushes. You're like, oh yeah, no. It's like it was him, Max Goof. Okay, Jack Frost. Okay, who didn't have a crush on Jack Frost? Look at him, right? And then How to Train Your Dragon came out. Remember that? Yeah. So Hiccup, oh my god, because he was like such a dork. So like, but it was for me. They were like these were the people I was like crushing on like so hard. This story follows Jim and Reader because obviously it's Times Reader, where him and her, because it's female presenting Reader specifically, but him and her have known each other since they were kids, right? So cute little childhood friends, and then kind of ends up living with them, kind of. I mean, they're still very close, but obviously we start off where they're flying their board. Well, because she's on it with him, and he's flying where not supposed to be, and she's like, "This is a terrible idea. Don't do this," right? And it's very obvious. It's the type where they both have a crush on each other, but they're, they don't want to tell the other, and like, oh, there's no way that they feel the same, like that type of, so it's not like they realize later on. They're just holding back. So she's telling like that's a bad idea, and obviously they get caught, so it really doesn't matter. And and then we go back to his mom and them, and wrong turn because they end up getting brought in. And Jim ends up being, let go. They're like, oh, after saying like, oh, we see you like him dead end, like wrong, like, oh, loser. Like he basically like he has no future, which like no one has to. Sir, shut up. But then they end up like kind of like taking her because it's like, oh, well, she's not let off the hook. And this is where Jim is like, okay, because he's always had like a protector's fear. Like he feels the need to, especially since this is kind of his fault anyway. So he does step up and say like, I was the one who went there. She tried to stop me. Like she's the one who said it wasn't a good idea. It was my fault to begin with. So they do end up letting her go, but they do warn her like that she should stay away from these bad news, and she'll end up in juvenile hall with him, right? That he'll drag her down, and it really does get to Jim because we do see him. Like it really does stick, and he really does feel that way. He does feel, because he even like kind of like says it back to her, like almost dejectedly. Like he even says like, he's like, oh, don't you, like you should stay away from me. It's like, I might drag you down with me. It's like, ooh, like he really not that. Listen, like who cares, right? But he really does feel that like he will just like he constantly messes up. He can't do anything right? He's already kind of worrying, and his mom, and and like what's when he's eavesdropping on the conversation between the three of them. He's like worrying his mom, and she speaks up. She's like, "Oh, I wish I could just help him more and like help him out of his shell." And this is the point where I'm like, from his point of view, where he's like, that she already does, and obviously, again, he already likes her. He just doesn't want to admit it because in his mind, he's like, there's no way she'll want me. Like, I'll just, I'm not good for her. Like, she's too good for me. Like, there's no way she could like me. But after, the dudes ship. He crashes. He ends up bringing him back into the little tavern or whatever it is. Tavern restaurant. Yeah. He's gonna bring him back, and obviously he's like, and now he has the map. Not that he ends up having the map now, and now that they're there, the place is burning down because they found them. This is where we get a little bit of like the reader's backstory, because she instantly, like, she sees the fire and the place burning down around him and freezes. And it's like she instantly, like, we don't get like a complete flashback, but we know that like clearly something's happened. She's seen something like this before. Very traumatic. And this is probably what led to her kind of, I mean, they were always close, but like, homegirl's an orphan. She's got no parents. So, it doesn't take long to link, oh, they're real dead, aren't they? From this. And so, she instantly like freezes and is panicking, like, oh my god, no, not again, like, not this, right? And Jim's the one to like kind of like, okay, I have you, like, I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, but we need to go right now, right? So they end up jumping out the window. They end up moving. Place is burnt, all gone. Tragic, right? Of course, Jim's feeling like, that's his fault too, because they were looking for the dude in the map, so not great. And, they realize like he still has it with him. After realizing it's a map and, obviously this is their chance, like, they can, they just get the money. The three of them bark on a journey, being, Jim, Reader, and Delbert, onto the ship, clearly filled with suspicious people, whatever. And they end up, obviously Jim and Reader end up being in the care of Silver. And this is where she's definitely more calm, the more level-headed, because while the two are grumbling, like, oh, the captain, like, she's so bossy and whatever, she's just like, oh my god. She's looking at Arrow, she's like, they're not usually like this. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're just like, she's so cautious, like, she does not care. But obviously both of them instantly recognize that Bones, right? Because he has said in his final breath, beware the cyborg. Oh my god, look who's here. Great. And so obviously now they're left in his care as like cabin boy and cabin girl. And I forgot he did this in the movie, but he starts questioning him, like, you heard of Billy Bones? I'm like, this is the time you want to play detective? Sir, first off, we're in a kitchen. There are so many weapons right now all around us. Not even like counting like his hand, like his prosthetic hand, where he would just had like multiple knives and he's using to cut vegetables. This is I'm not playing detective right now. I'm keeping that to myself. I'm not gonna start questioning the dude who I'm like 99% sure is the dude who Bones was talking about. Like, I'm not gonna be like, so you remember this dead guy, Billy Bones? I'm not gonna do that, bro. That's like, you're like asking for it. After they're left in his care, they take off, and Jim and Reader enjoy the moment for all of like 5 seconds of like, oh my god, look, it's beautiful, like like scenery and everything, and then like they get work to do. Like, here you go, here's a mop, here's a bucket, get to mopping, right? And but it doesn't last, obviously, because the crew suck. And Jim was staring for too long, and they're like, well, why don't you mind your own business? And like they start getting in his face. And so that's when Scoop, creepy ass spider, but this is where we kind of start getting hints, because like as like the reader kind of looks into his eye, like at his eyes, they're like, something isn't right, which like, yeah, his whole demeanor, but it's like something like almost familiar about them. It's like, oh no. And so they start. It's Is this technically a fight? I don't even really think this is more of a fight. It's more like he almost killed them. So I don't even, because he's like, he goes for Jim first because he's the one who insulted him first. But then she ends up like kicking him real hard. So he ends up dropping Jim and he ends up grabbing her and slamming her real hard. And so obviously they get rescued by Silver and everyone kind of goes about their business afterward. And he starts, scolding them because like, I gave you a job. And it's like, Jim defends both of them because like they started it and like he wasn't really just gonna let him hurt her. He was real close to like to cutting her open. So, but they get cut off because she ain't doing too good because she got slammed real hard, like so hard that the back of her head's like, ooh, homegirl might need a few stitches. We're not looking too good. So he's like, okay, I'll take you up to the captain because this isn't great. Jim kind of like, and he protested it because he's like, because he's always the one to look after her, and he made that promise too. He's like, I will always look after you. So he's like, I'll take her, and he's like, no, you stay here, like you continue to work, and he gets more to look after him. And as they're going up, he's like, wow, he got really, banged up. But he's like, it was foolish for you to step in because, like, to go against Scoop, you had no chance. But she's like, wouldn't you do anything to protect the one you loved? And he doesn't say anything, right, as he like kind of passes her off to Amelia. But he does like, silently agree, like, of course he would. He would do anything to protect people, like, someone he cares about. I will say, I do appreciate how we get from Silver's point of view, like after he drops her off. Because, I mean, like, the story and like the movie too, like, just kind of naturally follows Silver along, so we immediately kind of know, but it, like, we get his thoughts and his feelings on things instead of just like from a third person, view. It showed like it like, how he's feeling and his thoughts going through his head, and how he genuinely was kind of like pissed off at like she almost died and you started something like over nothing with him. It's like, um after we go to like Jim and he's kind of like oh, it like kind of sadly mopping, and he's like he very clearly wants to go off and look for her, and Morph is like messing with him. He splits in two and like starts impersonating, like he splits in two and transforms one of them into Jim and the other into the Reader, and he immediately like starts making kissy faces because it's like so clearly, and he's starts chasing around after that because it's like that's embarrassing and no one's around, so he's glad for that. Then Reader ends up coming out and he's like happy, and he's like, he's happy again, and he's like, I missed you. How long was she gone for? Like 10-15 minutes, sir. She wasn't like dying. Let's not. But then Morph kind of orders him to get back to work by like, mimicking Silver. And she's like, well, how do you know he's saying that? It's like, because he did that every time I tried to go off to look for you. It's like, oh, okay. So we tried to sneak off then. This is where we also kind of get the moment where Silver, this is where they kind of start bonding, right? Between the three of them, like with Silver. And, because he asked him, I was like, oh, what about like, like Jim's dad took off, and then we get Reader's like background. Not really too much on it, obviously. But just enough where it's like she's clearly still shaken about, obviously, because she froze when the fire started happening. Trauma. And she's so the only thing that she can kind of get out is like she kind of stutters on it. Well, not stutters, but like, she can't find the words, right? Is that her mom and dad, like, there was a fire, clear, it's like very clearly indicating, okay, so they died in a fire. And then we kind of get later, not really the case, but like, yeah. After the whole, montage scene where we have the three of them bonding and getting along, I do like how we, like, at the end, Silver is clearly kind of starting to feel bad, or like a little bit, because like they've bonded, like now, they bonded now, and he's like, oh, not this time's plan, it's not gonna go wrong, and it's like it's very clearly gonna go wrong because Silver and his crew are gonna take the treasure, but so he starts feeling a little bad. But anyway, then we get the star and the whole black hole happening, so everyone's running around tying their lifelines. Jim ties that shit around her so tightly to where she's like, okay, that's painful. Like it's, but he's like, absolutely not. I'm not losing you. It's not happening, right? So running around, then they kind of, get the plan. And the shockwave happens, right? Finally kind of explodes, the shockwave happens. Rita and Ariel go overboard, but lifelines are attached. So thankfully, they're completely fine. And I like, for even like a split second, we get from his point of view, from Ariel's point of view, where he sees her overboard. She's panicking. He's about to call out to her. Knows his lifeline. He notices his lifeline. Like it's being tugged. Looks up. It's Scoop. And he instantly recognizes the look on his face. He's about to die. He instantly knew it and realized it. And then we cut to the readers. We cut back. She just hears screams and she's like, oh my God. I think he's definitely dead. And then the whole, like another shockwave happens. She's like screams. This gets Scoop's attention. He notices. And so he's like, oh, 2 for 1. Sweet. And so he's going over. And she feels her lifeline being tugged. And at first, okay, great. Someone noticed. She's relieved. So she looks up and sees it's him. And he's like, I'm about to cut your shit and be done with it. Because he starts cutting it. And this is where we finally get the flashback of like what happens. Or what had happened. As a kid, she was under the bed. And like there was like her parents were like, they screamed. And she opened her door. Like if she saw from like the crack, she didn't step out. Fire everywhere. Her parents are very much gone, but she sees a silhouette of him and those eyes. So very clearly, this is where she recognizes him from. It's like, oh, he's the one that killed her parents. So she's like freaking out. Her eyes are closed. Like she's like just kind of waiting for like something to happen, right? Scoop gets not distracted, but he realizes like obviously the situation's over. So of course we were gonna be like looking around and like, oh, lifeline, like someone's overboard. So she starts getting pulled up. She still has her eyes closed. She's freaking out, thinking she's gonna die. But actually, it's Silver. It's Silver and Jim. You're completely fine. And Jim is like horrified because she had went over and he didn't like notice this. He was like, oh my God, because like, they were celebrating, because we get from their point of view of it. Like they're celebrating, they're getting there, and then they notice like, wait, where is she? Immediately look over and it's like, oh my God. And he's like horrified because he could have lost her. And like, because he was tying that shit around her so tight so he wouldn't. She's like, and obviously you can't help that, right? Went overboard anyway. But now, obviously, with Mr. Argon, it's like, oh, his lifeline. Scoop, for instance, like, oh, lifeline wasn't secured. And only 2 people gotta know the truth. Her, and she's like traumatized and shaken out right now, like still in the flashback. And Silver, he also knows, like, you fucking killed him. Okay, great. And this is a number on Jim. Because obviously he's like, no, I did. And then he starts blaming himself. Like, I thought I did tie it tight. And he starts beating himself up more because he, it's worse because she also went overboard. And so if her lifeline wasn't secured, he starts doubting himself. Like if her lifeline wasn't secured, he could have lost her. Again, I really love the different point of views on this, right? Because Scoop, the reason that he had like turned back, because it was like it just kind of looked like out of nowhere. It's like, why did you just stop? I mean, like everything's kind of over, but still rushing around. It's like, so he kind of could have killed her. Oh, and he definitely could have. But the reason he did is because we get from Silver's point of view. He's worried about her. Where the hell is she? He's asking Jim, and he's like, I have no idea. So he's freaking out. He's like, okay, calm down. Like, we'll find her. And then he sees what's happening. He sees Scoop cutting her line. And so he yells out to him. And he turns, like, and he obviously turns away. I'm like, oh my God. Like, the only thing that saved her was that he had noticed in time. The only, like, good thing to kind of, I mean, it's okay. I should say it takes up a little of his confidence. And during the whole, scene where Silver cheers him up and everything, right? Gives him like a confidence boost because again, almost lost her, right? They end up back on deck where it's just like Jim and the reader, right? Silver interrupts though because he's like, I literally, because again, he was thinking about, I almost lost her. Gotta confess now, and so this is the only good thing to come from it. And so they're on deck again, like alone. Silver ends up coming in though. He's like, and Jim kind of started like, he's like, go away. And Silver's like, oh my bad, like my bad, bye. And so this is the scene where they finally end up confessing, and she ends up telling him like, yeah, pretty sure it was Scoop that killed my parents, and he's like, oh, and but like she. I mean, what the fuck? You're on a ship. What are we doing? Where are we going? There's really nothing you can do about it now. And so she does like say like, I'll tell Amelia like by the end of our voyage, and like that's it, right? Because it's like it's not really much you can do about it now. But that's really the only thing, the good thing to come from this is that now they're a couple, and now we also recognize that Scoop is the one that killed her parents. Then the whole, discovery, they're all pirates, so they gotta get off the ship. Morph gets the map, so now they're like, they do get off the ship, but they're shot down, obviously, onto the planet. And they're just kind of stranded there, so now they're kind of working on a plan. And I do like how this is where Gilbert learns that they're together, right? Because he didn't know, because it literally happened like the night before or something, and they got before like they got together. So Gilbert, this is literally where he learns, because they just crash landed, so they end up kissing. It's like, oh, thank God you're okay. And he's like, ugh, Sarah she owes me 10 coins. And he's like, what? It's like, you were betting on if we would get together? It's like, and my mom bet that we wouldn't, which is that would be wild. I'm just like, that they bet, like if she bet like, oh, I just don't think he would ever confess. Like, he just take it to his grave and die and would never confess. I mean, that's not what happened, right? I mean, he bet that they would confess during the voyage, and she bet that they would confess after it. So they clearly knew, like, okay, it's gonna clearly happen sometime soon. But I just think it'd be wild if it was like, I just don't think he's ever gonna do it. Like, if your own mom was like, he'll never do it. From them crash landing, it follows like the rest of the plot normally, just with reader added, and nothing's really changed, right? Just moments between reader and Jim here and there. And by the end of it, when everything resolves, Silver's off. Now they're going back home, and everything, he gives them. Silver ends up giving Jim, some gold to, rebuild the tavern, whatever restaurant. But he also gives him, it's like, oh, and this for, eventual wedding in the future. Clearly, a ring. Like, so he can propose with later. And then we, cut to, he's back home. They're back home now, and um, I guess that was him kind of like graduating because they did mention it in the beginning, like, oh, he's failing school. So I guess like at the end of the movie when he's like all cleaned up now, it's like that is like him graduating. So it's like okay, so now that they're in years, because now we go to the epilogue, years past now, and they're babysitting Amelia and Delbert's kids, and she's kind of she's feeling upset, right? Because she's been acting weird. Of course, she knows behavior, especially since she's supposed to help. She's supposed to meet each other, right? And he's late by 30 hours. Who the hell at that point don't even show up? Be done with it. And so he gets there. He, they don't really start arguing, but she does question. It's like, what were you even? It's like, oh, why was, he's like being all secretive and stuff. And Amelia and Delbert get home. Kids immediately don't care, rat them out. It's like, they're fighting. Auntie and uncle are fighting. Shut up, kids. And they know, right? It's because Jim's planning to propose. So they know. It's like, oh, I'm sure it's nothing. Because, but she's still upset, so she ends up leaving, right, and going to the restaurant, talk with Sarah. And they're like, wow, I'm glad you messed up. And he's like, I was late for like 3 hours. Like, what the why? But it turns out it's because he was dealing with sellers, right? And because he has their ship and like everything's taken care of now. That's why he was late, right? So it's for like, the final time. And so when they finally meet, like kind of apologize and they meet back up, and now they're, now he's showing like why he was so late. It's because he's saving up for months and why he was gone for so long on certain trips, because he bought the ship for them. It's their own ship. And he's like, oh, and she jokingly says like, oh, it's like, are you trying to propose? And he's like, oh my God, what? Who told you? Was it my mom? Was it Ben? Oh my God. And she's looking at him like, what? Like, sir, the only person who did that was you. And he's like, oh. It's like, you told on yourself. And so he's like, well, I'm still going to do it properly. So we end up having a big wedding. And Silver even ends up showing up for the wedding. And honestly, I love it, right? It's a cute little wrapped up little moment. And even long after he's gone, they still kind of, he's like, it's like he's like Jim's pseudo, like that's like his kind, like that's like his pseudo dad at that point, right? And so it's like a nice little cute wrapped up after the whole wedding. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.